What is going on, guys? Thank you so very much for stopping by the channel once again today. I got a little bit of extra for you. It is June 3rd, 2022. I am JD from New York, as always, coming to you from the OTS venue. Thank you guys so very much for joining me on your Friday afternoons, wherever you may be. I have all the MJF aftermath following Wednesday's incredible promo on Dynamite. Everything you guys need to stay up to date on MJF, Tony Khan, and this huge developing situation with AEW. Also, I got news, exclusive news, coming to us from What Culture Wrestling in regards to Thunder Rosa. Apparently, Thunder Rosa is very frustrated with the lack of TV time. This should be no secret to anybody, and not really a surprise to anybody. Why Thunder Rosa is off TV, I don't know, but internal frustrations now from her being the AEW Women's Champion. And I have a rumor killer on the potential IWGP World Heavyweight Championship match that will be taking place at AEW New Japan Forbidden Door. Apparently something was reported that necessarily is not on the internal match card right now, as that is being kept completely secret between AEW and New Japan Pro Wrestling. We got a lot to get into, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much on this Friday afternoon. I will be live on Friday night for AEW Rampage, which will be live tonight once again on the West Coast in its normal time. So I'll be watching that following SmackDown, and I'll be live with SmackDown and AEW Rampage tonight. So make sure you guys RSVP to the venue. Later tonight, we will be live going over all of this Friday night SmackDown and AEW Rampage. Follow me on Twitter at JD from NY206. That's Twitter and Instagram. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on the bell for all notifications. Make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. Let's try for 1,000 likes on today's minimum. 1,000 likes minimum on today's OTS Extra. And make sure you guys go check out all of the live streams that you might have missed so far this week. Monday Night Raw and Wednesday's Dynamite. Jesse and I went almost 3 hours on Wednesday. Tremendous night. We almost had 4,000 people in the OTS venue, man, for what was a very, very memorable AEW Dynamite and an OTS post show. So go check all of that out. Let's start at the top with the MJF situation, man. Some AEW stars right now are not happy about being left in the dark regarding the MJF situation. Although the MJF situation started as a shoot, as he legitimately has issues with his contract and AEW, we now know that Tony Khan and MJF somehow, some way, somewhere have sat down and turned what was a shoot on Saturday into a legit work. Now, I said on Wednesday, I would not be surprised that all of these situations and all of these feelings regarding MJF and what he feels about his contract with AEW, there's no doubt about that. What he's feeling is legit. But I said on Wednesday that I wouldn't be surprised if all of this was a shoot, a work rather. All of this was a work instead of being a shoot. Saturday was a work with the fans. Saturday and the refunds supposedly being a work, the plane ticket being a work. I honestly think if you want something like this to really go out there and blur the lines tremendously from what is real and what is not real, I honestly think you need to take these steps and do everything you need to do to keep people guessing. And I haven't felt this, I would say, confused about a pro wrestling storyline in many, many, many years. And now with all of the outlets that we have access to and all of social media that we have access to, you'd think it would be a lot easier. But I said this on Wednesday, I would not be surprised of all of this, even the fans having their money refunded at the Fan Fest for Double or Nothing on Saturday, and MJF supposedly being caught in the casino gambling. I wouldn't be surprised if they went to the lengths that they did and made this all into a work, but his grievances are all legit. So I honestly think that it could be a situation as I just described. So obviously the contract situation with him expires in January 1 to be exact, 2024. That date has been reported several times via the outlets. It has now turned into a work shoot storyline in All Elite Wrestling that is now playing out on television, and MJF cut the promo of a lifetime. People are already claiming it's one of the best promos that they've ever heard. People are already claiming that it's better than the CM Punk pipe bomb that he cut on John Cena in WWE before he went into Chicago to take that WWE World Heavyweight Championship away from John Cena. Now, just like Brian Pillman, also an influence in this thing, I've seen a lot of Ric Flair, I've seen a lot of Brian Pillman and MJF on Wednesday's Dynamite. When he got his release, Pillman, in 1996 from WCW, it was to further push his loose cannon storyline and loose cannon character, all while just trying to get a lucrative deal with WWE. There is confusion regarding what is real and what is not real in all of these particular instances, these worked shoot angles. Talent in AEW and talent in the locker room has largely been kept in the dark about the MJF situation, as AEW President Tony Khan has refused to talk to anybody about the MJF situation. He refused it on Sunday night with the media at the Double or Nothing post-show scrum. Obviously, that was going to be the big topic of discussion. Tony Khan, right at the start, said, "I'm not answering any questions about MJF or anything contractually in regards to Maxwell Jacob Friedman." So he dumbed it down right there, and it just got people more obsessed with what was going on. Dave Meltzer reported in the latest edition of the Wrestling Observer newsletter that many wrestlers in the company believed it to be a work from the start. Now, that's not how the majority of us felt. We all thought it was legit because of the grievances. When you add money and a contract and what you think, in this case, Maxwell, thinking what he deserves with all the ex-WWE guys coming in and making more money than him, it definitely, with the majority of us, did not feel like a work from the start. A lot of it obviously was true, and we all thought that his grievances legit are there, and we all thought it was a shoot. So it ended up being a shoot that turned into a work, according to some. Some people thought it was a work from the start. Some people thought this is all a shoot. Some people legitimately think this is still all a shoot, which is not the case. Meltzer said that the wrestlers believed it to be a work from the start. It was said that some people just played it off as it being wrestling, but others weren't so happy about it, supposedly. Meltzer wrote, and I quote, "One source, or one wrestler, obviously anonymous, noted being very unhappy about it, believing that playing games with talent and keeping executives in the dark on key issues was something they had hoped this company would never do. And one called it a sloppy shop, sloppy work that in the long run will benefit nobody." Now, I don't know who Meltzer spoke to, but just by this quote, I feel like this person really doesn't get the gist of what is happening here. And I feel like this person is a very intelligent, anonymous individual. People are unhappy. Fine. The only people that should be unhappy in this situation, and I mean this wholeheartedly, the only people that should be unhappy with this situation were the talents at the Double or Nothing Fan Fest that supposedly were not filled in about what was going on, that had to stay extra to make up for the time that Max had that he did not show up for. Those are the only people that should be unhappy about this entire situation. And if Tony Khan was to really cover all his bases, which in this case he wanted to play it off as nobody knows what the fuck is going on, he should have definitely told everybody else that something at least was going on. I'm going to need you to stay. Max is not showing up, and I'm going to need you to do this solid for me. I'm going to need you to do this one favor for me, and I'm going to need you to stay an extra hour and a half to compensate for Max not being there and absorbing all of the people that supposedly bought tickets to his FanFest meet and greet. That's the only thing, if I was Tony Khan, that was the only thing that I really would have gone out there and made sure of. And those are the only people that should really be unhappy about it. Why would anybody be unhappy about it? This does not concern you. This entire situation with MJF does not concern you. You are, just like the rest of us so-called marks, behind the barricade watching an epic, absolutely generational storyline, the most important storyline in AEW history right now, play out right before everybody's very eyes. Why would you be unhappy about what's going on if none of this concerns you? The only people, again, that should be upset about this are the people that supposedly were there at the Fan Fest, the talent that was there at the Fan Fest that needed to stay longer and were not notified of anything that was going on. Now, again, going back to what this guy said, this anonymous individual, whatever he said to Dave Meltzer, a sloppy shop, sloppy work that in the long run will benefit nobody. Of course it's going to benefit somebody. It's benefiting the company already. Max is bigger than he's ever been right now. This is a promo that's going to last generations. People will go back and listen to this and watch it, which I've already done several times, but I watched the entire fucking thing before I hit record on this video right now. That's how good it is. People are already claiming that it is on level, if not better, than CM Punk's pipe bomb. They're comparing it to the great promos that Ric Flair cut back in his day. This is something that already has propelled Max to an absolutely ungodly amount of money, no matter where he ends up. If he ends up with AEW or if he ends up with WWE, he has made himself not only into the biggest name in all of pro wrestling right now, the biggest name in AEW that is a solid pillar of this company, the future of the company. He's already made himself a prime target for Vince McMahon and WWE well before this. Can you imagine what they want to pay him now? I don't know how you say it's not benefiting anybody. How is this not benefiting anybody? This is benefiting everybody, and the fans are on a ride of a lifetime. The fans are benefiting from this because we haven't seen anything like this since the day of CM Punk and John Cena with that pipe bomb in Las Vegas. And this is going to benefit the company in the long run as well when Max gets his just due and he inevitably wins the World Heavyweight Championship from CM Punk. So I don't know who this person is or why he's so misinformed, but either he's jealous or he's just that stupid and unintelligent. I don't really understand where he's coming from with this quote to Dave Meltzer. Now, one day after MJF did the promo on Dynamite, he called Tony Khan a mark, demanded that he fired him. After all of this, one day after all that he said here on Wednesday, they removed him from the roster page. They removed him from Shop AEW, and they removed him from social media. They unfollowed him on social media. So let's backtrack to everything that's going on. He no-shows the Fan Fest, which, I mean, I don't really know. We may never know if it was a legit work from the get-go, if it was a shoot that turned into a work shoot. We don't know. So either way you want to discuss it, nobody's going to know. You're all going to have your opinions about it. Me, I honestly think that his grievances are real. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if it was a work from the get-go to really play into the heartstrings of everybody. Do I believe it could have been a work from the start? Sure. Just seeing who's involved and how real they want this thing to feel. Why not? It may have been the only way to do what they did and accomplish what they want to accomplish by having the fans be disappointed, getting MJF more hated, and having MJF more hated by the locker room. It's none of their business. So if it was a work, I would not be surprised. If it was a shoot and he did this on his own accord and then they sat down and talked about everything that they need to talk about, I wouldn't be surprised by that either. So we may never know. So they removed him from social media, unfollowed him on social media, removed him from Shop AEW, and removed him from all aspects of AEW, the roster page as well. Now, the funny thing is, this is just a little sidetrack here. I was getting dressed the other morning on Thursday, and I was looking in my closet, and I see all my AEW shirts, and I say to myself, I don't have any MJF merchandise. Why am I not wearing and representing MJF with a t-shirt or something that he has on the shop? And I said to myself, maybe I should go out and buy an MJF t-shirt after all of this that happened on Wednesday. And then legitimately that afternoon, I see the news article that they pulled all of his merchandise from shopaew.com. And now here I am wanting an MJF shirt to show my support for MJF. And now you can't even get anything on shopaew.com. That is a brilliant fucking strategy, man. They are really going above and beyond, and I appreciate that. I called MJF and Tony Khan geniuses for whatever stemmed from Saturday, and now where we see it on Thursday and Friday. This is nothing more than a storyline that is going to be remembered for a lifetime, man. I love everything that's happening here, and I can't wait to see how all of this unravels. So they unfollowed him on social media, and they're really taking it to the next level. And we said this on Wednesday, that this storyline is going to be a pivotal turn in the success of AEW. Not only is it going to make MJF the biggest name in the business, he's already the biggest heel, the best heel in the business, the best promo in the business. He's definitely one of the best in-ring performers in the business as well. Everything he said is legit on Wednesday night. He is great. I don't know why anybody thinks that MJF sucks. I mean, you could go back and watch his matches with CM Punk. You could go back and watch his match with Darby Allin at Full Gear. I mean, that could have realistically, if you put the World Championship in that match and that was a World Championship match, that probably would have been the best match on the entire show. It opened the fucking show and they went nearly 25 minutes. So I don't know how anybody thinks MJF sucks. Well, all of his grievances there, you felt his passion on Wednesday. Everything that he felt just came out in that promo. This is a generational storyline that will be remembered for years to come. It is going to be on par with how people watch CM Punk and the Pipe Bomb every single year. I go back and watch it at least once or twice every year, every summer heading into Money in the Bank, every year. This is something that is going to be a pivotal turn in the success of AEW. This is something that was, in my honest opinion, it couldn't have come at a better time with executives from Time Warner there, executives with Discovery Channel there in Los Angeles, and obviously keeping an eye on everything that happened in Las Vegas. Everything that happened on Wednesday is going to be nothing but a positive for Tony Khan and AEW, MJF, and then everything that's going to happen with CM Punk this summer, the official Summer of Punk 3.0, how it just mirrors everything Punk did with John Cena 10, 11 years ago going into Chicago and that Money in the Bank situation with John Cena. We're going to look at MJF taking on CM Punk for the world title. How we get there, I have no idea. I don't even know where to begin talking about getting this man a world championship match. They're removing all of his likeness on social media, on their roster page, from the shop. I don't even know how we get there. But this is where it's going to go. And after everything that happened on Saturday, I even questioned myself, did Sean Ross Sapp go out there and kind of feed us misinformation while getting that information from AEW and then feeding it to us because he's the biggest name in the media right now doing what he's doing? Did Meltzer get fed this information and then they were told to feed us the plane ticket information and all these huge question marks that stemmed from Saturday night? I don't know. I don't think somebody like Sean Ross Sapp is going to go out there and put his credibility and his name on the line to report something that really isn't necessarily true when people look at him for nothing but the truth and confirmation on storylines and, all that stuff. I don't think he'd be somebody to do that. Meltzer as well. Meltzer's been doing this for way too long. I don't know why he would put his name out there and his credibility on the line when people already shit on him for the littlest fucking things. Mike Johnson as well. Mike Johnson's also another credible name that breaks major news stories up and down every single month. I don't know why he would put his name out there and ruin his credibility on something that really wasn't legit. So I can't really understand why they would do that. So I don't necessarily believe that. But as far as everything else is concerned, I don't know why anybody would be upset about this. This is a journey that we're all going to go on together. We're all going to watch what, honestly, is going to be the biggest storyline of the entire decade in all of pro wrestling. And MJF is going to be a made man after this. A made man that is going to command any amount of money and get whatever he desires. So, again, I don't know who Meltzer spoke to. This is somebody that clearly does not know as much as he pretends to know, talking to Dave Meltzer. MJF, CM Punk, how we get there, I don't know. Does it happen in Chicago at All Out? We don't even know if All Out is going to be in Chicago. Does it happen in All Out? Do they push it to Grand Slam in Queens in September? Do they push it to Full Gear? They can honestly do the 1-year anniversary of the dog collar match in February at Revolution and do the third match and the World Championship in Revolution or at Revolution in Chicago if they wanted to. Again, I don't know what Tony Khan is thinking. I don't know what MJF is thinking. I don't know how long they could keep this up. I feel like if you're doing it now, it's a hot button topic. You might have to strike while the iron is hot here and really kind of facilitate things going into All Out after Forbidden Door is concluded. I don't know what they do. You can't wait too long on it, and you can't push it till September or possibly Full Gear in November, and then maybe if you're thinking February 2023 with Revolution. I don't know how long they plan to keep up this charade with MJF. So, I don't know. It's a very up in the air topic. Also, the other part of it is they just gave CM Punk the world championship. I would think if Tony Khan gave him the world championship, you want to keep that man as world champion, the biggest name in the entire company, one of the biggest names in the business. You want to keep that man world champion for as long as you can keep him world champion, because there's a reason you put the world championship on him, and that is to get notoriety for AEW with that man leading the charge. Obviously, he's there for that reason, but he's also there, and his mission statement was he wanted to work with the younger talent, and MJF is definitely a part of that equation. So he's definitely there to do what Tony Khan needs him to do, but he's also there to put over the young talent. I think that's something that CM Punk really takes great pleasure in doing, and MJF falls right into that equation. So, again, it's all up in the air. I don't know where we go from here. I don't know how they address it even on Wednesday coming up on Dynamite. I don't know. We're definitely in for a wild ride. I can't wait to see what happens. And you know what? Yes, we're all marks. I'm happy to be a mark. Without the marks in the wrestling business, none of these people, none of the businesses, none of the promotions, none of the big wigs and all the big stars, they're not really anything without the wrestling mark. So everybody claiming that, oh, you're a mark, that's not really an insult to me. Of course I'm a fucking mark. I do pro wrestling for a living, and I talk about pro wrestling for a living on YouTube, and I talk about pro wrestling on Twitter. Of course I'm a fucking mark. I got AEW hoodies, I got AEW hats, I got AEW fucking t-shirts. I'm a mark. Who gives a shit? I'm a mark for a lot of things. I'm a mark for a good beer. I'm a mark for a great tasting old fashioned. I'm a mark for a fucking video game. I'm a mark for a live concert with one of my favorite bands coming. I'm a fucking mark for a lot of things. So if you don't think you're a wrestling mark, you're a complete blithering idiot, man. So I don't see that as a true insult to anybody. So what exactly do you mean by that? We're all fucking marks. And you know what? We all got played at the end of the day, including all the big check marks on social media. Good. A once-in-a-lifetime angle where I'm glad we all got fucking played and our emotions got played with, man. That's, to me, a great fucking storyline. Moving on, man. We got a rumor killer on the IWGP World Title match at Forbidden Door. Now, Hiroshi Tanahashi showed up on Wednesday's AEW Dynamite and challenged CM Punk, presumably for the AEW World Championship, as he motioned around his waist that he's coming for the championship. He did the hand gesture around his waist for the world title. Shortly after the show, there was another rumor that came from The Observer and Dave Meltzer that the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship and the title, which right now is on Kazuchika Okada, was slated to be on the line, and Okada was scheduled to go up against former AEW World Champion Adam Hangman Page. He said this, and I quote, "The IWGP title match won't be announced until the June 15th episode of AEW Dynamite in St. Louis. That is 11 days before the Forbidden Door show." I had seen a lineup, which was interesting because it was Punk and Tanahashi for the AEW World title, and the other match was Okada and Adam Page, which actually could be a hell of a match for the IWGP title. I don't know if that will happen, change, or whatever. Then the rest of the show is probably a lot of tag team matches between factions on each side. Then there was a debunking of the rumor that came out, and the Wrestling Observer had tweeted out a correction to the story earlier in the day on Thursday, claiming that the card is being kept secret. They said on social media, and I quote, "Per at Dave Meltzer, his Wrestling Observer radio note last night that Hangman Page versus Okada was tabbed for the Forbidden Door based on a lineup he had seen was incorrect. That match is not planned for the pay-per-view as the lineup is being kept a secret." End quote. Now, I don't know why he would go out there and say that without solid confirmation. I think it's pretty well known that Tony Khan and New Japan management are keeping this card very, very secretive, and they're going to unleash it when they see fit. And it's going to happen within the next 2-3 weeks because we're almost there, man. At the end of the month is Forbidden Door. I wouldn't be surprised if Tony Khan actually reached out to Dave Meltzer and asked him to retract that statement because, A, he wouldn't want that floating out there, and B, if he's wrong, Tony Khan doesn't want misinformation out there and then him present something different on Dynamite when he does decide to announce the match. So I'm glad that we got this corrected. Now, what I seen on social media Thursday was quite disturbing because a lot of people, I seen a lot of these fucking irrelevant accounts in the IWC claiming that this is not the match that they want. They would rather see Okada versus Bryan Danielson or something along those lines. And I don't really understand the blatant disrespect for Adam Page if this is the match. Now, according to some people that reached out to me when I said something about this on social media, a lot of you guys, I haven't seen it. So a lot of you guys claim that Okada and Page did have a match back a couple years back and it was absolutely fantastic. And it would probably be the same thing now because Okada is one of the greatest of all time and Adam Page is doing the best work of his career. So why wouldn't it be a great match come Chicago and the Forbidden Door? The blatant disrespect that I seen for Adam Page because he's not Bryan Danielson, and supposedly this match was supposed to happen over Okada and Bryan Danielson, is fucking ridiculous. Don't you even downplay ever, and don't you ever diminish the quality of wrestler that Adam Page is. Don't you ever diminish somebody as great as Adam Page, who's doing the best work of his career right now this year. You may not like what he did with the World Championship. I didn't mind it at all. Was he the biggest thing on the show? No, there's a lot of moving parts in AEW. I get it. But that doesn't mean Adam Page wasn't a great world champion. That man had some of the best matches in his entire life. 2 with Danielson, 1 with Lance Archer was a great Texas death match. Adam Cole versus Page at Full Gear was a fucking great match. The match with Punk was great. Look at the quality of opponent that this man went in there as world champion against and came out looking great. You think anybody's going to go in there and have fucking 4.5-star matches every fucking time with the names that I just mentioned to you? Don't you ever diminish somebody like Adam Page because he's not Bryan Danielson if that is the plan for Okada and Page to be the world title match, the IWGP world title match at Forbidden Door. I don't understand you. If that's the match and that's what we get, I'm going to be okay with that. It's almost as if you guys don't think that there will be another Forbidden Door in 2023. This is a partnership. I'm assuming this is going to be a multi-year partnership for AEW and New Japan. Why wouldn't you think that they wouldn't do this again next year? Bryan Danielson is there for another 2 years. This is the match that he wants. You don't think Tony Khan is going to give him that match with Okada? You don't think Tony Khan knew that he wanted this match with Okada? If Tony Khan did not know that, I would be shocked. But Tony Khan knew this upon signing Bryan Danielson. I'm sure that was one of the major things for discussion. It was the main reason why he didn't sign with WWE and stay there, which he could have very well done. He came over here because it was either going to happen in an AEW ring, him and Okada, or Tony Khan was going to allow him, when restrictions eased, to go over to Japan, and whether it's for a Wrestle Kingdom show or any show for New Japan, it may very well happen in the G1. We don't know. He was going to allow Bryan to go over there and get the match over there. But Tony Khan is a businessman. Obviously, he wants that match to happen here, and now he's got this outlet with the Forbidden Door. If you don't think he's going to deliver on that match, I don't think you guys understand the quality of or the person that Tony Khan is. He's a mark, just like all of us. You don't think he wants to see that match? Come on. Never diminish Adam Page, and if that's the match with Okada and Page, I'm not going to complain about that whatsoever, because at the end, if we get that, right, we get that match with Page and Okada, and we get Tanahashi and Punk, are you really going to complain about a Bryan Danielson and Zack Sabre Jr. match? Who's the best technical wrestler in the world? Who's to say that Bryan doesn't get Ospreay? I mean, it's almost as if you guys think Okada is it, and then there's nobody else on the New Japan roster that could give Bryan a great match. Come on, people. Stop the disrespect for some of the best right now in the industry. Page does not deserve that type of treatment after what he's done for us and the quality of matches he's given us as world champion in AEW. And finally, guys, we got another situation here where stars are unhappy in AEW, and this one pertains to Thunder Rosa. Thunder Rosa apparently is frustrated with AEW, upset over the lack of TV time she has received as World Women's Champion. Thunder Rosa's lack of television time in AEW has left her unhappy. This is an exclusive from What Culture Wrestling. Unnamed sources close to the situation state that the reigning AEW Women's Champion has become very frustrated with how little she has been on screen. This was exacerbated by Wednesday's episode of Dynamite, on which Thunder Rosa received no focus despite her well-received match with Serena Deeb at Double or Nothing. Now, PW Insider reported that the reason why Thunder Rosa was not a part of AEW Dynamite was because she became ill after the match with Serena Deeb. She's not hurt, but Mike Johnson and PW Insider claimed that she had an illness that did not allow her to get in the ring on Wednesday or even get booked for the show. And AEW, according to Mike Johnson, said AEW that they sent her home. So I don't know if that's legit or not, But I don't know why Mike Johnson, again, will put his name out there with an article that is full of misinformation. So, according to him, Thunder Rosa was ill, and that's the reason why she wasn't on Wednesday's Dynamite. And I hope that's the case, because if they did have Thunder Rosa fully ready to go and they did not put her on Dynamite, I do find that to be a big problem, being that she definitely had one of the best matches of the entire 5 hours. That was Double or Nothing. Now, while this week's Dynamite was very heavy on Double or Nothing Fallout, it didn't feature any form of segment featuring Thunder Rosa and the World Women's Championship. It was put to what culture that Dynamite made it feel like the Deeb match didn't happen at all. Now, I do understand that and why people would be upset. Because if Thunder Rosa and Deeb had probably the second or third best match from the top, I don't know. I mean, it's varying, and it's definitely open for discussion. I felt like that was probably the best bell-to-bell match of the entire night, if you want me to be perfectly honest with you. I thought they killed it. Both of those women killed it. If you want to go out there and claim the Anarchy match was your favorite match, so be it. I'm not going to argue with you at all. Punk and Hangman, I'm not going to argue with you at all. House of Black versus the Death Triangle, I'm not going to argue with you at all. Some people love the tag team title match, the triple threat match. Again, I'm not going to argue with you at all. But the fact that they had such a great match and it wasn't even talked about on Wednesday, I do find that to be a problem. After using her Double or Nothing ring attire to honor the 21 people who tragically lost their lives in the May 24th school shooting in Texas, Rosa was not invited to the post-show media scrum after Double or Nothing. This is another thing that frustrated Thunder Rosa, who's planning on auctioning her Double or Nothing gear to benefit the victims' families, though she was not given the opportunity to speak at the scrum. Rosa had confirmed during a pre-Double or Nothing interview with Sportskeeda that she wanted to auction the gear, driven by a desire to help the families take care of the funeral services. Such an amazing woman is Thunder Rosa. We've been informed that while Rosa's frustration, says What Culture, isn't to the extent that she's going to walk out of the company, the situation has left her upset and confused. I know I saw yesterday that Thunder Rosa said she was taking a couple of days away from social media. I'm assuming if this has anything to do with this, or maybe she really is legitimately ill and just wants to focus on herself and get better for the next week's Dynamite. Thunder Rosa has been AEW Women's Champion for 78 days after beating Britt Baker on the March 16th episode in a steel cage match. So far, she has 2 title defenses successfully, one against Nyla Rose and one against Serena Deeb that happened on Sunday night at the pay-per-view. You know, I don't want to hear any excuses anymore about, AEW only has 2 hours of TV time and they only have 1 hour of Rampage. AEW clearly has shown you where their priorities lie for the women's division. It's Jade Cargill and Britt Baker. These 2 women, Jade Cargill holds the secondary championship. While undefeated, it is still the secondary championship in the women's division. Thunder Rosa is your World Women's Champion in AEW. Britt Baker has lost the championship, gave it to Thunder Rosa to carry the division in that steel cage match in her hometown. She won the title that night, and still, Britt Baker has more TV time than Thunder Rosa. Britt Baker won the Owen Women's Final, has been on TV the following Wednesday on Dynamite. Thunder Rosa got 0 TV time. She got basically 2 weeks, if you want to call that, of TV build for her match with Serena Deeb, where I even said, I don't think the women are going to have any legs to stand on going into Double or Nothing, because it's very similar and mirrored what they did with Britt Baker. The match at Revolution with Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker barely got any TV time as well, and that included Britt Baker. Their number 1 girl, Britt Baker, barely got any fucking build going into that pay-per-view, and it really suffered from fan reaction. Nobody really gave a shit. The steel cage match was different because that was in Thunder Rosa's hometown. I'm very fortunate to have seen the fans really get behind Serena Deeb and Thunder Rosa, and rightfully so, because they're 2 tremendous women's professional wrestlers. But even after Double or Nothing in that great title match, I don't want to hear any excuses about the lack of, AEW TV time. They got 2 hours on Dynamite and 1 hour on Rampage. That's not the excuse anymore. That's not the excuse anymore. CM Punk is your world champion. He's obviously got to be on TV. You got the tag team champions on TV on Wednesday. They got pinned by the Young Bucks in a big 8-man tag, or 10-man tag, whatever the fucking tag team match was. 10-man tag. But Thunder Rosa is your World Women's Champion. Jade Cargill was on the fucking show. She's holding, again, I must stress, the secondary title. Had to stare down with Athena and Chris Statlander, with Anna Jay, with the baddies. Jade Cargill was right there. Stokely Hathaway made his AEW Dynamite debut. All these champions are on the show. But Thunder Rosa doesn't get TV time, and not one single fucking mention about anything that she did on Sunday night with Serena Deeb, which probably will end up as the best women's match of the entire year for AEW. I don't understand it. So you got your World Championship, you got your Tag Team Championship, you got your TBS Championship, all on the show, but you can't find time to give Thunder Rosa any sort of fucking thank you or anything with Deeb as well on Wednesday's Dynamite. That is a failure to execute, in my honest opinion. And of course, a lot of people are going to really poke at the 78 title reign and ask, where's Thunder Rosa? And say, what has she legitimately done? I don't think AEW really understands what the fuck is going on and what the severity of the issues are here. 78-day title reign, great, but what are you going to say about this 78-day title reign outside of what happened on Sunday? That's one day out of 78. What happened to the other 77 days? They put her in a feud with Nyla Rose that barely had any legs to stand on in its own right. WWE, they got their own fucking problems. I don't want to sit here and say, oh, Thunder Rosa would be better off in WWE. No. If Thunder Rosa wants to be frustrated, then find some other place to work. I don't think the grass is going to be greener on that side of the fence. So if she goes over there, she knows exactly what happens over there, and she knows exactly what's going on over there. I don't think that would be better off for her. But AEW starting her off with Nyla Rose, which is a very stereotypical thing to do. Nyla Rose has been in that situation with every other champion before that. So even that had nothing going into it. They built it off Vicky Guerrero and Nyla Rose poking fun at Thunder Rosa's green card. And then we had a subpar match at best, which took place at Battle of the Belts 2. AEW didn't do anything with Thunder Rosa as far as getting her competition, because then they had announced the Women's Cup, the Owen Hart Women's Cup. Every woman of note was in that tournament. And then the Serena Deeb thing with her going into Double or Nothing barely got any TV time, and we finally got some build 2 weeks before the show. And none of that was particularly good either. So yes, the woman is frustrated, and rightfully so. If every other championship is on your television show, Thunder Rosa should be right there. She holds the biggest women's championship in all of AEW. If you don't think she is big enough for the World Championship, then why did you give her the World Championship at this point? Because all people are going to look at is if Punk is on the show, and Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy are on the show, and Jade Cargill's on the show. How do you think that's going to look from an outsider's point of view, looking at AEW, to see that their World Women's Champion, Thunder Rosa, isn't on the fucking show? They're not going to take that to be a good sign at all. And of course, Thunder Rosa hears all this shit on social media, and she sees it, she feels it. She's obviously the women's champion. Of course she's going to be frustrated, and of course she's going to voice those frustrations. Why? Where's my say, and where's my part on the show, and why are you doing what you're doing with the Women's Championship when I am somebody that wants to take the women's division and women's wrestling in this company to the next level, but you're not giving me the opportunity? As far as I'm concerned, what you're doing to her is no better than what WWE is doing with their women's division, and you don't want to be Bruce Pritchard and WWE. Guys, thank you very much for all of your support. If you enjoyed today's extra, let me know what you think down below in the comment section. I will be live tonight for SmackDown, so make sure you guys tune in at 11:05 tonight, live on YouTube. I'll be right here on Off the Script. Follow me on social media at JD from NY206. That's Twitter and Instagram. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on the bell for all notifications, and make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. Let's try for 1,000 likes minimum on today's OTS Extra. Guys, I'll be live tonight. SmackDown, Rampage, right here on Off the Script. I'll see you guys later.